the entertainment highlight of the week.
Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show.
Hello. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
Good evening.
Good night.
Good tidings.
Goodbye.
Goodness.
Loch Ness. We just walked straight into it.
Did it again.
I can't believe I'd almost ignored it. I was going to say Good Friday. Had I already said that? I don't know. Anyway, sorry, that was the Loch Ness game.
I was referring to how good the Nesquik that I'm drinking is, actually.
Yeah. Steward's Inquiry.
Rubbish.
That was the Loch Ness game. It's not about Loch Ness, and it's not a game.
But this is the Benji and Nick Show, the show where we talk about cult television, TV from the past, TV you might remember, TV you might want to forget. Just old telly, really. We talk about it, riff on it, and give
What's
it
that old telly in the
our
corner?
perspective. It wasn't an old telly. Rubbish. But that's it. So this week we are going to be talking about Follow Me, the HTV series from 1977.
Have you looked it up to find out anything else about it?
I can do. Would you like to tell them about our sponsor whilst I do so?
Yes, we ought to introduce ourselves just in case.
Yes, I'm Benji.
Oh, well, you're meant to say you're not Nick.
I'm sure I've already said it. I'm sure we already said it. I thought we did, yeah.
I know, I think that was last week.
Oh, well, in that case then, I'm not Nick.
And I'm not Benji. What a rigmarole. The Benji and Nick Show is proud to be sponsored by The Village Shop, the online e-store run by the Unmutual website, and Coit Media Limited, lovely people. Your one-stop shop for all things Prisoner, Danger Man and Patrick McGowan, including DVDs, Blu-rays, books, CDs, audio dramas, clothing, photos, homeware and gifts. New items are added weekly. The Benji and Nick Show listeners, that's you folks, can enjoy a 10% discount on all purchases by using the code LOCHNESS10 at the checkout. LOCHNESS10, LOCHNESS10, all capital letters and the digits there, and no spaces. All right, LOCHNESS10. A further donation will also be made to Hope House Children's Hospice at no cost to you. The address for the Village Shop is www.theprisonershop, or one word, .co.uk. Also, there's a code Good Gravy if you want to buy Playboy's Spies and Private Eyes, inspired by ITC. It's a great book. And if you go to buy that and at the checkout add Good Gravy, GOODGRAVY, all in capital letters, no spaces, you get a 40% discount off that book. So give that a go. I'm tempted to do that myself. Anyway, I think Benji's waiting and looking at the Prisoner Shop.
I have indeed.
You selected something interesting?
I have. This week's choice is On the Trail of the Prisoner, a CD in which Roger Goodman talks to Patrick McGowan. It's a rare interview, it says here. Whilst filming the classic movie The Hard Way in 1979 in Ireland, Patrick McGowan met up with Roger Goodman to discuss the Prisoner series. Wow. So what do you know? So you think you know the? It says here, you think you know the Prisoner. Why Portmeirion, and why the Penny Farthing? Who is number one? And so, plenty of things there. So it will say here...
Wow. Who's the guy who did the interview? Roger Goodman.
Roger Goodman says, are your answers the same as Patrick McGowan's? Find out and learn so much more in this momentous interview, digitally remastered from the original recording and available for the first time on CD. So well worth getting your hands on that for a little bit of an inside look. And especially at the time. So it would have been relatively fresh. I mean, I suppose it wouldn't have been that fresh in their mind, but it's only 1979, so it's I'd say
just over 10 years.
Yeah, so an interesting kind of to see where that interview goes. So there you go.
Good. Well, we'll also be talking to Jamie, son of Jerry Anderson, later, if we're lucky, for no particular reason except that he's our buddy. And but before all that, we're going to read out your emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com.
Certainly.
Shall I do the first one?
I'd love you to.
It's from our old friend Tom Hodden, T.E. Hodden. He normally does very humorous things, but I think this is a bit of a serious one. It was sent on the 8th of March in the year 1844. He says, "Gents, thank you so much for your wonderful kids' TV special. That was last week. It was fun to listen to and inspired me to consider which shows would have been my choices for discussion. Most my choices were either covered or were perhaps for older children than those you were discussing, CBBC rather than the CBBS in the modern parlance. Some of the memories are, of course, fresher than others. Living near Canterbury, the glow of certain shows was regularly renewed on visits to the City Museum, where there were lovely exhibits on the Rupert the Bear, the only thing in the Daily Express that was ever worth reading, and Oliver Postgate's cartoons, due to his local connections. Even today, if there is an interesting exhibition at the Beanie Gallery and Library, I would be sure to visit Bagpuss and the magnificent mouse organ, who currently reside there with some clangers. And I can only imagine the mischief that occurs when the gallery closes for the night. Top amongst the choices from Kids TV that I think would be worthy of consideration for future I can't say the word future.
For fruit bowls.
For fruit bowls. For future podcasts would be What's Your Story, hosted by Sylvester McCoy.
Yes, Ace.
Ace, whose plot was dictated by the viewers, the shows, not McCoy's. What? People viewing Sylvester McCoy like he's an exhibit in a museum.
I'm not a number.
The bits and pieces I have seen on YouTube hold up surprisingly well, not least because of McCoy's fantastic on-screen persona. Yeah, natural charm, lovely chap. I would also love to hear what you thought of Press Gang. Oh yeah, especially some of the standout episodes. There are a few that really packed a punch, especially the episode in which, through a series of flashbacks, the aftermath of an unseen football match is discussed as the plot edges slowly and inevitably towards some very Sherlock-like twists. Funny enough, because it was written by Stephen Moffat. Oh, and any excuse to discuss Phantom Cat, the greatest Adam Adamant-inspired animation of all time, would be eagerly welcomed. Yours, T.E. Hodden. Is he joking about Phantom Cat?
I've no idea what Phantom Cat is, quite frankly.
Do you want to Google it? Goggle it. I haven't said goggle for ages.
Said that as a Phantom Cat, a masked, swashbuckling, polite, fearless hero who joins the Wildcat Detective Agency. Nope, never seen it in my life. Never seen it in my life.
I suppose it's a bit like Adam Adamant. He's swashbuckling, isn't he? So, yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that one, Mr. Hodden. Always a pleasure. Never a chore. Press Gang would be a good one to do, actually.
Yes.
I think that's definitely something for our list.
Oh, it's so loved, and I haven't seen it for years and years. I think, as I've said before, I always used to find it slightly disturbing because it was youngsters behaving like adults, and it sort of freaks me out a bit.
Don't do that. Strange.
I wouldn't say that to Stephen.
Yes, he'll punch you in the face.
You freak me out, Moffat.
This one here from a Nyrin Hunt, sent on the 10th of the 3rd, 2020, at 23:43. The future.
Wow. With mechanised drone owls.
Yes, more like a sort of yeah, exactly. That. Yeah. To Nick and Benji. Listening to the latest episode has made me think of the shows I used to watch when very young. I was obsessed with Thomas the Tank Engine when very young. I remember the many of the stories still to this day. Other shows I watched around the same time as Pingu and also the Teletubbies. Fun fact, the Twinkie Winkie costume is 3 meters tall, which is so much bigger than you would think. Nyrin. Teletubbies are terrifying. That was sort of my sister's time when she was growing up. I remember she was Teletubby crazy. We used to have to buy Teletubby custard. I remember that.
Wow.
But
time for Teletubbies.
Interesting fact that Teletubbies used to be on in the early morning slot as well. Yeah. They used to put it on at 3 in the morning because all so all the students, when they were coming in from their sessions or whatever, could sit, smoke cannabis and trip out over the Teletubbies, and it was a very popular slot apparently.
I don't think the Teletubbies costumes were 3 meters tall. I met the Teletubbies, when I met them in my fantasy world.
Very nice. Yeah, we had a good chat about car insurance, and I remember it well.
Again. In various events I did early on in the Dalek days of 2005, 2006, that sort of time. Various toy events and things, and there was Teletubbies. Proper Teletubbies at one of the events, and they were not 3 meters. I mean, 3 meters is enormous. That's like 9 foot tall.
They're huge. I seem to recall
they're
them
not
being
that
massive.
big.
I wonder if
they're big. They're not tiny, no, because they've got people inside wearing the costumes who sweat themselves to death in there, of course.
Maybe they were like a variety of different costumes for different things.
Yeah, maybe there was a particular one that had to be enormous to make something else look small.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay. All right, BritBox Doctor Who Classic Horrors, the subject for the next email, sent on the 8th of March in the year 1224.
The Ace of March.
The year 1224. I bet things were a bit bleak back then. What was going on?
1224. I think that was the reign of King Stephen.
Was it?
Maybe, I can't remember.
King Stephen Moffat.
King Stephen Moffat.
Dear Benji and Nick, I recently signed up with BritBox after hearing your good selves wax lyrical on the subject. BritBox, you owe us a percentage there. Yes, lots of good stuff and classic Doctor Who, so I soon settled down to watch Day of the Daleks, but oh no! This wasn't the classic Doctor Who I knew from my DVD. It seemed to have been have updated special effects, and then the Daleks spoke like Nicholas Briggs' new Doctor Who Daleks. Has Nicholas Briggs got the copyright to all Dalek voices now? Exclamation mark, question mark. No. I don't know why they've used that one. I think they don't know they've used that one. But anyway, I think it's more fun. Questions for Benji and Nick. Is it classic Who when it's been messed around with, or is it something else? Benji, what do you think?
Difficult one. I mean, it is classic Who, still to this day, but it's like a perspective on classic Who, isn't it, really? It's kind of... Because it is still the original thing. But it's like anything, isn't it, really? It's like, is it classic? Is Planet of the Daleks episode 3, Planet of the Daleks episode 3, now it's been colourised? Is that because it's not the original colour per se?
No,
one could argue that.
It wasn't shot in black and white.
But it wasn't shot in black and white, no. But then
that's a restoration.
It's a restoration, but it's not the authentic. It's not the actual. Where do you take it? I personally think though. So, for example, with Day of the Daleks, that version, I happen to think that I like both versions for different reasons. I think the new version's great because it replaced the quite frankly dreadful voices and also added some fun special effects and kind of made it a bit more plausible that maybe more Daleks are attacking the house. Equally, sometimes I like to go back and watch the absolute original because that's how it was and it brings a certain level of nostalgia to me, I suppose, really. So I would consider it classic Doctor Who, 100%, because I just think that's what it is it not? Just like
I agree with you, really. I mean, I would say controversially that and bless the people who did it. They're great people, but I think they went a bit too far with Day of the Daleks. I think his enthusiasm got the better of him, and he sort of, you know what I mean? Because I know there were moves to change all sorts of other things as well.
Oh, really?
That we had to sort of draw the line, and but anyway,
I think the voices I think would have been enough personally.
Yes. But they edited out, the no complications bit,
which is great.
Yeah, because they decided, and there was also a bit where a woman fluffed her lines, so they cut to a POV. Yeah, there we are. I fluffed my lines. A POV of a screen in order to cut out her hesitation, because still in those early 70s Doctor Who's quite a few fluffs got through, because they thought, yeah, that'll do. Interesting. But we think it's classic Doctor Who. I think it's classic Doctor Who with bells on.
It's like a classic car, is it not? I think the best analogy is, you replace bits on a classic car. I've got a Morris Minor out on the drive, cut the wings on that, new coat of paint, but it's still Morris Minor, and it's still Morris Minor from the 70s.
And you haven't embedded sort of flashing lights in the wings, or
it's got LED lights everywhere, and a disco ball, and
but you see what I mean? That's the equivalent of Day of the Daleks, isn't it? What they've done there. I honestly don't think they intentionally are using that version. I think that's a mistake, personally, on their part. I mean, it's lovely to see it. I'm not saying it's a mistake that it's available. I just mean I don't think they deliberately selected it. Because with the BritBox, the presentation of BritBox Doctor Who is, you know what I mean? It's very hit and miss, isn't it? Using the wrong pictures for the wrong episodes.
Absolutely.
It's like there's not a Doctor Who expert working on this, or if they are, they're not as much of an expert as they think they are. They're probably an expert compared to everyone else in the office, but compared to nerds like us, they know nothing. But of course, all nerds like us, we all have gaps in our knowledge. We may be mad Doctor Who fans, but at the same time, like for example, I just never learnt the season numbers. So when people go, oh, yeah, so season 12, I don't know what that is. I say, what's the first story? Tell me the first story, then I'll know what season it is. But I just don't know. They go, oh, yeah, the season 11 box set. I don't even know what that is now. What is it, season 11?
Season 11, I can't. You see, this is the thing. I used to, years and years and years ago. Season 11 is Planet of Spiders, isn't it?
Is it? It's John Pertwee's last season.
John Pertwee, I think I'll double check.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it would be, because 1973 was the 10th anniversary of Doctor Who. So, yeah, that makes sense.
But
and they did do one a year in those days.
Well, yeah, quite.
No dig intended, of course.
I used to know a lot more, like my Doctor Who knowledge, it used to be a lot more fresh, because I used to be a lot more obsessed with it, maybe going back, 10 years ago. I was far more into it in the sense that I'd watch it all of the time.
Well, when something's not quite so available, well, actually that's different for me, but it's because Doctor Who wasn't available and the past of it wasn't available that you become obsessed with just learning facts about it.
Well, I was very much, my peak Doctor Who time really for me was around 2005 actually, because because I was sort of, I had so much to go back on and research and get into. And then when it came back, I was like an
archaeologist.
I was turned to new Doctor Who, because then that was a new thing, and then I turned away from Doctor Who altogether to be a teenager and get into music and do all that business. Then came back to it. So a lot of my things, I've lost a lot of knowledge that I accrued years ago. Annoyingly.
Yes, because of all the alcohol.
It's pickled me. Just going back quickly,
yes.
Can confirm that. At the year 1220, as we were referring 1224, sorry, was the reign of King Henry III. I was a couple of years late with my estimation of Stephen. But yeah, there we go. Just thought I'd let you know.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I said, I'm aware that I often go off to do something and then never actually report on it.
Oh, I like it.
I just go,
Thank you very much, and then don't bother. Anyway, after I got over the shock to my system, I did enjoy the version, and it is probably a better watch for newer fans who are more used to improved TV effects. Well, precisely. Second question. So when do you think all Dalek vocals would be replaced by Nicholas Briggs? Poor Roy, Michaels, and the other performers' families must be miffed being squeezed out of the BritBox millions in royalties. Well, first of all, there aren't millions in royalties. Secondly, I don't think they're paying me any royalties on that because there was no proper contract for it.
Didn't even know about it, did you? Until somebody told you?
No, I didn't know about it, no. So I might have to look into that. But so I imagine that whoever the dreadful voice artists on that original episode, they are probably getting royalties for it. Of course, I'm not going to replace all the old Dalek voices. I love them all. People said I should replace the Death of the Daleks one.
What? Are they insane?
I would refuse to do that because I loved Michael Wisher and his voices are great.
They're great. People just don't like the modulation effect. No, people just don't like that. I could just talk about this for hours. People just don't like that story because they think it's stupid. That's all they think about. They think it's stupid. But
stupid. That Nicholas Briggs guy must be minted, is what River says here. Well, River, that's not true, unfortunately. As always, interested in Benji and Nick's views. Love the podcast. As for the nostalgia TV, I recently watched V from the 1980s. Fell asleep twice, and the effects were even bad for then. Terrible music for most of it, and the script gets more and more ropey as it goes on. Ending was awful, but a relief.
Wow.
I can now put the DVD on eBay for someone else to lament buying. Your listeners should be warned. Much worse than tripods. There you go.
Wow.
River Jones. I don't know. Did I mention it was from River Jones? I don't think I did.
River Jones.
Sorry about that, River, but thank you for writing in. Right then. Well, V, I remember it was such a big thing in 1980 or 81 or whatever it was when it was on British television. They showed it over several nights and stuff. It was all, everyone was mad about it. I remember thinking, this is a load of old baloney, but there you go.
I remember a friend of mine my friend of mine's parents were really into V, and he was like, I've got a video of V we can watch. And so I remember going around his house watching V and just being really like, oh, this is rubbish. And why are they all speaking in American? And this is what I want it to be English with somebody saying, "Don't be a fool."
For pity's sake, man.
For goodness sake. Yes, very much so.
Well, the thing is, I mean, is River talking about the miniseries, or the series? And of course, they did revamp it, didn't they? They did reimagine it, and it came back, and that died a death. There you go.
Such is life.
Follow me. So come on now. What do you think of Follow Me? What did you watch? Just episode 1?
I've only watched episode 1 so far.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of enthusiasm to really keep going. It's not bad, but it's just not. There's not a lot to it, really, is there? I like the music in it. That was probably my favourite bit of the whole thing.
And the incidental music.
Yeah, and the incidental music as well, following the same kind of theme as the main theme. I didn't think it was bad, and I love all the stuff with the ships and all that. I think that's lovely, and I think it's beautiful at kind of capturing that long lost childlike quality of liking simple things. Like where back in the day when you'd there'd be a kid that liked ships or a kid that liked airplanes, whereas now it's just a kid that likes Teen Titans or a kid that likes a specific niche bit of Minecraft. But I like the idea of this kind of childlike quality of boats and ships and sailing and the open seas, and also that he ends up going to his father's ship and finding out that it's not all the glamour of all these ships that he'd been seeing. It's just some horrible pokey old joint.
How would you describe the plot so far?
Cobbled together, completely cobbled together.
Describe it, not comment on it.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's about a young boy, basically, who his mother's going away, so he has to go and stay with his father, who basically he just doesn't know, and his father pretty much hasn't got any knowledge of this young lad. His father's a complete sort of waste of space, really. He's an old sailor, hasn't got a lot of work on, and even subsequently...
Full of value judgments. Didn't you think his mother was a horrible old harridan, though?
Well, I think they're all horrible in it, to be honest. The poor boy, he's stuck between her being an absolutely horrible, cantankerous woman, and that bloke being a complete waste of space. And
he still thinks he can get back with the wife. He said, "Oh, you
got
still got a soft spot for you." Just as she's climbing up the steps out of the boat, when he's sort of looking up her skirt.
I thought that. I was like, you dirty old man. And he also, when he's there going in for a kiss, where's my kiss? So you're not getting one.
With
back
her
off.
Headscarf, she has her headscarf on. I mean, one of the things I would say, there's so many things I want to say about this. I didn't particularly like it at the time, by the way. I think it came out after Children of the Stones, because the two leading children in it are both from Children of the Stones, and it was yet another HTV series. Patrick Dromgoole, who's the executive producer, he did all those HTV kids series, had it completely sewn up, always brilliant creative ideas. And the director, who's got a double-barreled name, I think, or 3 names, or Fred, Harry and Bert, I don't know. He did a lot of this stuff as well. And Ronald Fraser is the star, the named star.
Ronald
of this.
Reagan.
Who plays the... Are you not familiar with Ronald Fraser? He was a big TV and movie star. I mean, it was quite something to get Ronald Fraser to star in a kids' TV series.
No, I'm not. I need to... Hold on, let me...
He's just been... he had quite a movie career. He was the second lead and sometimes the lead in movies.
I've recognised his face from things. I can't recall anything.
He never plays this character. I've never seen him play this character, and I would say he's playing it with a sort of Bristolian accent, and I would say that he's like 82.5% successful in that accent. it wavers. Normally, he played posh sort of chaps. Terribly, he was like that. I always remember him turning up in an episode of Public Eye, I think it was, and the person in the cafe showed him the tea and said, "Tea or coffee?" And he said, "I give up, you tell me." I think I mentioned that in the last podcast. Just repeating myself like an old fart. Yes, I thought there are a lot of plot hints in this about what's to come, and I will watch it all.
Absolutely.
In the same way that I watched that other one that you didn't like, that I keep forgetting the name of. Oh, God, the one down in the potholes.
Yeah,
with Kez.
I can't remember what it's called.
Which I absolutely adored. There's all this stuff about smuggling computer equipment, and there's interesting detail on the smuggler's ship, where the guy's got a boot from the Battle of Balaclava.
I love that bit, yeah.
And they're all saluting it. And,
it's good for morale.
Yes, it's kind of, And the girls run away from home to find her father, who, knowingly or not, is mixed up with these smugglers. I don't think he knows that they're smugglers. There's something smuggling. And that tape that runs at the beginning, the tape is recording the music off the radio. And then this man turns the radio off, makes a secretive phone call where he sort of reveals he's up to no good. But then as we track in to the tape recorder, we realize it's still recording. So that tape exists with the recording of that conversation.
How peculiar.
It's quite cleverly written. It's Bob Baker and Dave Martin, of Doctor Who fame.
I would totally agree that it's planting seeds, and there's a lot
something
of directions
going on here.
Go.
But what's wrong with it, and what's difficult for us now, is that, I'd say the first 10 minutes or so, you think you're watching one type of program,
absolutely,
which is like beautifully shot. Isn't it? It's beautifully shot,
gorgeous,
and it's all on film. And I
gorgeous.
thought, well, this is all on film. Then, bam, you're into the studio. He gets into the boat, and then you just have 2 or 3 hugely long scenes just on this very small set, and then they do get out again for the end of the episode. There's this horrible middle section which is
drags and drags.
Yeah, and full of inconsequential dialogue and very obvious things as well. But that said, that's budget. They couldn't do anything about that. They had to write it like that. But the film stuff I think is really good. And the other thing, watching it now, of course, that when I first watched it as a kid, a teenager, I thought, oh, well, that's the world. That's the way things are. But now you look at it and you think, my God, that's the 70s. The train, how old-fashioned was the train?
Absolutely. An ancient old diesel, wasn't it? Really of its time.
And you really feel it's a window into, relatively recent history. And I think that's fascinating. I found that very fascinating. And also all the sort of social attitudes are slightly different, slightly skewed. So I found it really interesting from that point of view. But yeah, those long scenes in the boat were very dull. And it's an odd choice to do that in the first episode. It doesn't really grab you, does it?
Well, I think one of the things I was really interested about is the fact that it was a children's television show. It's that HTV children. But it feels quite kind of, despite the fact that it has very childlike things, like when he's, chasing after that girl, it doesn't really feel like a kid's show at all. It feels like it feels like a show that was written by adults, sort of with the aim of making it for kids, but then sort of just forgetting and writing it for adults, really, because it's a lot of kind of talking and a lot of sort of people talking like this, and it hasn't quite got that same, like Children of the Stones, for example, you feel a little bit more like that's at your level as a kid watching it, whereas this feels very kind of sort of.
Yes, it does. It does feel grown up, but it's quite good that the thing that Patrick Drumgoole always seemed to do with his productions is that he made sure they weren't patronising. So I
don't like patronising telly.
This feels a little bit like what was our favourite series, Dangerous Thingamy?
Dangerous Knowledge.
Dangerous Knowledge. It feels a bit like Dangerous Knowledge in a way, doesn't it? It's got that sort of.
It's dry, but somewhat intriguing.
I think there'll be quite a few yawns going through it, but I will definitely watch the rest of it.
I think the good thing about this is I do feel that towards the end of this particular episode, you can feel it's starting to pick up pace, quite literally, because they're running around, but it's picking up pace, and I'd be intrigued to see now how that carries over to the second episode, and whether that all starts, whether the pressure starts being applied to the characters.
How many episodes is it?
I think it's 7. Let me double check.
152.
900 million hours of let me have a look. 7 episodes.
Interesting number.
Yeah, I tell you, was the so I'm just flicking through the second episode now, literally to see it looks a lot more on film, actually. There's a lot going on.
I bet they do the same thing. I bet they do 10 minutes at the start and 5 minutes at the end, and then the rest of it is studio.
It looks interspliced between location and one set, which is a pub. So I can get on with that. That doesn't feel particularly uncomfortable to me.
If you want a winner with Benji, set your drama in a pub.
Set it in a pub.
That's why you like Coronation Street. It's mostly set in the Rover's Return.
It's absolutely true. I find it comforting. I like it. I just, it's that's the sort of environment I feel at home in. I'd love
to do a
if the
Doctor Who
Rovers
story
was my
set
local.
in a pub.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Doom.
Well, it's like what was it? The Android Invasion set in a pub.
Yeah.
More do you want? Zygons, pub.
I'll have another pint.
Battlefield, pub.
A pint of what? Well, ginger pop, please.
Love it to bits.
I got to say that line when we did the behind the scenes extras for the Android Invasion on the DVD. I presented that video and I was allowed to say, well, ginger pop, please.
You were there thinking, yeah, I know this.
Get in.
I know my subject. Don't. I've got one thing to say, actually, not on this particular series, but an interesting thing that I want to raise. So,
I've got a couple of things to say.
I love, Public Eye. We got a great consensus of how brilliant that was. So I said to my mum, I said, I think you'd like this because she kind of likes these things, right?
Public Eye?
Yeah, she kind of likes sort of telly like that. And so I said, check it out. So she got into it for a while, but then it was funny. We were talking the other day and she said, I had to stop watching it in the end. And I said, why? She said, I got so fed up with it. And I said, why? She said, because they lead you through this plot for the whole episode, and then at the end it's just never resolved. Like, it's always like, it's either like he does something wrong, he gets it wrong, he does something wrong, and of course she used the example of that one with the woman who just phoned up on the phone box and said, oh yes, I've got the diamonds or something rubbish like that. But she said she got so fed up with just this lack of like him ever actually solving anything particularly. Or deducting anything of any notice, that she gave up, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well, my mother-in-law gave up on it as well. She borrowed it off me and she said, no, I don't like it at all.
How funny.
Yeah. And yet she's, that's interesting about endings, by the way, because that reminds me of a thing I recently saw on Talking Pictures, an old 1962 crime movie called Jigsaw, starring Jack Warner, which I think was, I feel pain every time I see him because he waddles and I feel like he's got terrible arthritis, bless him. Anyway, he plays this very world-weary detective. And this was on in the afternoon. I recorded it, I hasten to add, listeners.
Well, of course.
I'm not watching television all day. I feel it's like I'm making too many excuses. It was shown in the afternoon and it's actually horrific. It's about a man who murders someone and chops them up and puts them in a case and they find it. But of course, it's all done without showing anything. But the very interesting thing, when they finally get the murderer, and it's called Jigsaw because they're putting together jigsaw pieces, as it were, to make it come to the conclusion. And they use that analogy in the film in a kind of, that's what this is called sort of way. They get the guy, and it's the guy who played CJ in Reginald Perrin, the original Reginald Perrin. John Barron, is that his name?
Yes, John Barron. Yeah, it's Ray Tenby in this.
Who does a lot of writhing eyes in his head, sort of thing. But he says that the woman fell, that she attacked him with a knife, and she fell and hit her head. But then he doesn't deny that he cut her up and tried to fit her in a bag. But they just try to get him. They get him to tell the story over and over again in the hope that he'll miss a detail out or there'll be an inconsistency. But the cornerstone of them not being able to charge him with murder is that he says that the knife and the hacksaw were bought the following Monday, so after she was murdered. So he didn't intend to kill her and cut her up. And the corner shop that sells, that they know probably sold the knife and the hacksaw to him, is run by Tobias Vaughan.
Of course it is, yeah.
Who gives a really mediocre, non-committal performance in it. It's quite shocking that Kevin Stoney he's totally uncharismatic. It's It's probably like me doing Children of Earth, where I gave a very arch performance, and then the director said, "Can I massively reduce your status?" And got me to sort of just do it in a really boring way, so no one would notice my acting. I think Kevin Stoney has been given the same instruction, and they said, "Right, can you stop being interesting? You're just nobody in this production.
Stop drawing attention.
Just say the lines like you don't really care." Anyway. So the thing, but his shop, they don't keep records of when they sell things. They just tot up the money. So they've got no record of the precise sale.
Oh.
So they can't tell John Barron that they know that he bought the knife and the hacksaw before the murder, knowing he was going to murder. He said, "No, I bought it afterwards to cut up and dispose of the body," which is a completely different charge, isn't it? I mean, I presume it's an offence to cut up a dead body.
Mutilation.
But it's not murder. So they're really frustrated, and so Jack Warner and his sidekick, an actor who I can't remember his name, but he has also been
Ronald Lewis.
Ronald Lewis, is it all right?
He's
been
Jim Wilkes.
He's been in Public Eye, by the way. I think actually he was possibly. Oh, well, who knows? He was in all sorts of things, and they're walking out of the police station. Jack Warner says, "Here, I'll stand you a pint." And as they're walking, they say, "It's such a shame that shop didn't keep records, and we can't prove that he bought it before, blah, blah, blah." But he insists he bought it on the Monday. He keeps saying, "I bought it on the Monday." He's all sort of mad, clearly the murderer. And as he's walking along, suddenly the sergeant guy stops Jack Warner and said, "Hey," points across the road, "we missed a trick." And they look across and we zoom in on a poster. It's for some concert that's on the Monday. And the Monday is a bank holiday, and none of the shops would have been open. And Jack Warner turns to him. He says, "You know what you've done, don't you?" And he goes, "What?" He said, "You've talked yourself out of a pint." And that is how the film ends.
Oh, that's a bit of
At that moment, it ends, because then you know that they're not going for a drink. They're going to go back into the station and charge him with murder, and he'll be convicted. But it's a really interesting.
That's a really
ending.
clever way of ending it.
But it is kind of, you think, no, I wanted to see all that stuff.
I wanted to see the confession.
Yeah, plot solved. And a lot of old movies are like that. It's just when and old TV as well, that ends with people just going, "Hang on a sec," and you think, "Oh, of course," and then the movie ends.
I think that level, that technique can be either really, really good, and you think, "Oh, that was it. God, wow. Now I need to watch it back so I can put that." Or you get the other way, which you think, "Oh, was that really what?" And we don't get to see the interesting bit.
Well, it's a bit like, the Dalek Invasion of Earth ending with Ian saying, "I'm going to divert the path of that bomb." And then well, that's it. Well, we're not going to see any of that. No, we're not going to show it to you. Now we know what they're going to do. We might as well all go home.
You've done the hard work. See you later. You know it's all going to blow up. It's fine.
Or it could even end when the Daleks are sort of saying, "Stop! I can hear you." When the Doctor says, "We must pit our wits against them and defeat them," and that could end there. You think, "Oh, but he's going to pit his wits against them and defeat them."
He's just said
might
it.
As well. Yeah,
we saved us all a load of effort now.
So it sort of just ends 5 minutes into episode 2.
Comes up with a caption saying, "And of course, he put his wits together and did defeat them." Dun, 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 dun. Well, I like the comment here on the film by the Duke of Edinburgh.
Oh, right.
Reportedly dismissed the film, saying it was bloody boring. That's a really damning review
boring.
There. Bloody boring.
I thought, I've never had much respect for his opinions. There goes my
Still
opinion.
funny though. Still funny.
I found it fascinating, so much so that I've been watching it in little 10-minute bits, like over breakfast and at lunchtime. I just finished it off this lunchtime before we recorded this. I thought something had gone wrong with the playback when the title just came out. I thought, what, is that the end? Are you kidding me? Anyway,
just didn't pay off.
I just feel I must mention something I mentioned to you an hour or so before we recorded. Noughts and Crosses on the BBC, which is I am absolutely loving it. It's amazing. It's a sort of, the basis of the story is that 700 years ago the African empire conquered Albion or Britain, and so now in sort of an alternative version of modern day Britain. It's like an apartheid society, but with the black people ruling and the white people being an underclass and subjected to horrible racism and cruelty. And it's such it's so brilliantly done, and it's based on books, isn't it? There are 4 books.
Yeah, 4 books.
I never read them. I'm not of that generation, but I think it's brilliant, and I find it baffling that the BBC are not really publicising it. They just, I know the Daily Mail has given it a right old kicking, and they've just put it all on the BBC iPlayer, and it's just there you can watch the whole lot. I would urge you to go and watch it. I think it's a fantastic story, and it is beautifully made and really well acted and just fantastically put together. I give it 10 stars out of 5.
Wow. I'm definitely going to watch that one.
Yeah, perhaps I built it up too much. Anyway, should we see what Jamie Anderson's doing?
Yeah, I think we should. Just quickly though, we haven't ranked Follow Me yet, so I'm going to give it a 3. It's just going to get 3 exclamation marks out of 5. Yeah.
It's so long since we've done a review like that. 3 exclamation marks. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Not good, that's not okay. Bad, not terrible, not great, you know.
He's there. Don't give me that look.
What look?
No, don't give me that look either.
Oh, sorry. I can't help myself.
How are you? Have you gone a bit weird?
Medium well.
Okay. So welcome to the Benji and Nick show, Jamie.
Thank you. Welcome to my office.
You've been on your travels, haven't you?
I've been in many territories around the globe.
You're jet lagged, aren't you? You're a bit...
Well, I'm not jet lagged because I've only been in Central Europe.
I know. That doesn't happen, does it?
I'm definitely feeling it. I can see the bags under my eyes.
So can I. Ugh.
I might change the angle.
That's right, yeah. Hold the phone, plaster the phone to the ceiling, and then it'll be okay.
Fasten the phone to something a mile away, and then it'll be fine.
We'll just hear you shouting, "Hello!"
Yes.
Oh, what have you done?
Dear, oh dear. I've got an incoming phone call, but I can call them back.
You sure?
Yes.
Because honestly, this is not worth putting off anything for. Are you still there? He's gone.
Oh, fair enough. Legend.
Oh dear. Oh God.
Oh well.
What happened there? No, he can't do it. Wow, that's
What an icon. The gift that keeps on giving.
I did say this isn't worth cancelling anything for, so he just took my word for it.
Scarpered. He had enough. Who can blame him? Right, well, what are we going to do next week then, Nick?
Well, I'm suggesting Planet of the Daleks episode 2.
Solid choice. I accept.
We'll do our commentary. There we are.
Absolutely accept that.
Case solved.
What a joy that'll be.
Brilliant. Okay. Just still reeling in shock from Jamie's exit. I'll just say, good choice. Yeah. What the hell? The emoji I wanted to put, the only one I had available was someone blowing their nose. Which reminds me, I must just bury myself in a mountain of toilet paper.
Well, yeah, can't see you now. Come out.
Yes. Oh, look, he's calling back now.
Yeah, crawling back.
That was that was brilliant. That I said it's not worth cancelling anything for, and you seem to just hang up.
I didn't do it on purpose. I actually tried to press the end, but I pressed end and accept, which. Oh dear.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, it's fine.
Have you ever seen a 1977 kids series called Follow Me?
favourites. No, I've never seen it.
I totally believed you for 2 seconds.
It's called acting. I've never done it before.
Well, it's very good.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's the best thing about it?
I know you're acting, I meant.
Oh, sorry, the show. I thought you meant the kids' show from the 70s.
No, we gave it 3 exclamation marks out of 5.
Right.
Okay.
So not worth...
No, but I will watch some more. I remember it from my teenage times. It's sort of, it's by Bob Baker and Dave Martin.
Oh, yes.
HTV, blah 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 blah. You remember the HTV logo, do you? I hope you do, because otherwise.
I do now.
Have you never heard it before?
Not in a way that I could recognise what you were doing just then.
I'm just insulted.
That was offensive, didn't it? It wasn't meant to.
And you haven't watched Noughts and Crosses yet?
No, I haven't. I've only been back since like midnight last.
Just
night,
checking,
so,
not nagging.
Sounded a lot like that.
Benji, have you got a question for him?
Yeah, on a rainy day, what is the film that you most likely hope will be on television?
Haven't we had this before?
Ice Age.
Ice Age?
Yes.
You just love the little squirrel with the acorn.
It's a CG animated film off of the noughties.
I think I might have been for. Has there been more than one?
Yes.
I think I might have been forced to go to the cinema and watch a sequel.
Probably.
Has there been one recently?
Good. Probably. I think there've been many, but no, the original one was great. And they had a little prehistoric squirrel called Scrat, who is on a constant hunt for an acorn. And at one point, I had a little puppy that was called Scrat after that. So, yeah.
God. What do you think of Ice Age, Benji?
I haven't really got an opinion on it, to be honest. It's just one of those generic CGI noughties films, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Exactly it. But it's not challenging to. It's just something you can just veg out in front of.
Yeah, it's true. You raise a good
Might
point
do that
there.
now, actually.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that I would rather stare at a blank wall for the duration of that film than watch it. I mean, I mean that.
You were staring at a blank wall and watching it with me, so that's fine.
You could be watching it, and I could be staring at the blank wall with earplugs in. Yeah. Jamie's doing a very good impersonation of staring at a blank wall by demonstrating it, actually.
It was of you staring at a blank wall in particular.
Your nose wasn't big enough. What would the film be for you, Benji?
Battle of Britain, hands down.
I've only seen Battle of Britain. I haven't seen Battle of Britain hands down. I don't know what that one is. That's after the Germans lower their machine guns. Hands down.
Hands down, handy hock.
He was a German officer.
Hands down, the famous German officer. Thank you. Welcome to Xenophobia Central. Battle of Britain, yeah, love it. The Cruel Sea.
The Cruel Sea, yeah.
Yeah, definitely The Cruel Sea. What's the other one? Sink the Bismarck.
Classic. A classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Or one of the Peter Cushing Doctor Who movies.
Oh,
yeah. Probably Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD.
I think Stagecoach, the old western's quite a good one to have on like a rainy day, Bit of John Wayne.
I haven't seen it.
Was it 1939 or something?
God, yeah, ancient, yeah.
Really old.
Have your horse and drink your
remade.
milk.
Yeah, it's been remade a couple of times. Well, there you have it. Okay, well, we were just finishing the podcast because we thought you'd genuinely just gone away.
No, sorry, it was an incorrect button press. But then I had to follow through with actually speaking to the person like I wanted to.
Yes.
Rather than going, I didn't mean to speak to you. It would have been even ruder than what I did to you.
I feel that I should reveal something that Barnaby Edwards, a good friend and colleague of mine, likes telling people this story that when I first became executive producer of Big Finish, back in those days, the phone was still being used more than email, certainly by me. And so I phoned up everyone involved to tell them that I was running it and everything. And I meant to phone Caroline Morris, who was then playing Erimem, a big Finnish companion, an Egyptian pharaoh, female pharaoh. I don't know what you would call that anyway.
It'd just be a pharaoh.
Pharaoh.
Queen.
And she answered the phone, and I thought, her voice sounds weird. Well, I'd accidentally phoned Caroline Munro, who had been in a Big Finish once. And was one of those delightful people who never wants to be rude to anyone, and so she absolutely pretended to know who I was. In fact, we had never met. "Hello, darling," she said, because I said, "It's Nick Briggs from Big Finish." She recognised Big Finish. And I was thinking, God, Caroline never behaves like this, and this woman sounds at least 30 years older than Caroline. And I thought, but people sometimes do sound funny on the phone. And it wasn't until halfway through the conversation I looked down and I'd put my finger on the number, and then as I'd gone to dial it, my finger had slipped down on the list and I'd phoned the number underneath it. So I thought, what am I going to do? I can't say. Part of me thought I was going to say, do you know, I'm really sorry I've accidentally phoned you. But I thought that's so horrid a thing to say. So I'm taking it that Caroline Munro doesn't listen to this podcast. Or if her friends do, don't tell her. So I said, well, the only thing I wanted to check was that CD you did all those years ago, did you ever get it? Did you ever get sent a copy? And she said, do you know, I don't think I did. And I said, well, thank goodness I phoned. I'll get that sorted out for you right away. And she said, oh, thank you, darling. You're so kind. And I said, all right then, bye-bye. Lovely to chat. And then by then I was blushing so hard I thought I was going to melt into a puddle. But luckily she couldn't.
Amazing cover.
Covered that one up, though. It was a good cover-up.
I don't think I sent her the CD, though. I think I was so relieved I just completely forgot about it. Anyway, what a bombshell that is.
Excellent work.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you very much, Jamie. Thanks for listening to my anecdotes.
Thank you for having me.
I suppose the coronavirus epidemic, pandemic, deadademic, means that we won't be able to go on our away day thing.
Might be sensible. I've cancelled a trip to Sweden next week.
Have you?
So we'll have to see how things unfold.
Yeah. We'll see how things pandemic out. Right. It's not tasteful. Sorry. I apologise for that last remark.
Too soon.
I'll just go and lie back on all the toilet rolls I bought. I haven't bought any.
He's literally flapping his rolls. Anyway.
All right then. Cheerio.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Speak soon.
I was talking to you. I was talking to your listeners.
Oh, sorry. He's gone. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to your listeners. Hi, you butler. Right. Time to get close to the microphone.
Yes, well, I suppose it's that sort of time, isn't it? Well, from me, it's goodbye.
And from me, Nick Briggs, just a short reminder to say don't forget to email us at podcast@nicholasbriggs.com with all your suggestions for things we could chat about, your opinion on what we've been talking about, and other stuff. Goodbye. Pressing stop now. Ka-chunk.